We are about to jump into the very first major assignment of this class, the concept essay, where you are going to be diving into a concept, an idea, and explaining it to someone who is unfamiliar with the concept or maybe doesn't have the same understanding of it as you do. So, we are going to do kind of a few steps diving into this. So, one thing that I recommend you have with you is a sheet of paper, a notebook, a writing utensil. Of course, you can have a Word document or something like that, but I highly recommend actually physically writing something down, or if you have like a tablet with a pencil, those work great. It's just that your brain works a little bit differently when you are physically moving in this way rather than this way. Okay, so let's jump into some of the jumping off points just to get our brains into the right space. So for a little bit, we are going to be writing some lists. So we're going to be kind of looking at ideas and just kind of running through a list based on this. And you can have bullet points, you can write in whatever language you want. Don't need to worry about grammar or anything like that. Just get your preferred writing utensils and get ready. All right, so now that you have your pen, paper, document, whatever, I want you to think about what makes you you. So there are lots of things that make us different from other people or connect with other people. So I want you to think about all the things that make you you, what people can see, what they can't see, and think about using phrases that start with the words I am. So you can write like I am at the top of your paper and then just start a list. So as I said before, nobody will see this initial writing, so you can feel free to write whatever you want. And if you don't want anyone to ever see it, you can rip it up into little pieces and toss it in a recycle bin. All right, so some things that I might think about is like, I am a writer. I am disabled. I am compassionate. So these are all parts of what makes me me and parts of me that I feel like are my identity. So I'm going to give you 30 seconds to write and write anything that comes to mind. All right, wonderful. I know that went by quickly, but if you have anything else you would like to add, feel free to add it. You may pause this video if you need to. All right, so now we're going to think of the next thing. So we're going to think about what you have. Now, a lot of these things can overlap with what you are and what you have, but I also find that like there are these mixed identities, and just thinking about how we word something changes it. So again, thinking about what makes you you, what people can see and what they can't. Um, Describe what makes you you, and using I have as a sentence starter. So again, you can write just I have right under your last list and create a list of what you have. So for example, I have ADHD. I have a dog and a cat. I have a vegetable garden. All right, so just think about what makes you you. And again, we're going to have 30 seconds to think through these ideas. All right. Thank you so much for taking that time to write with me. Um, we are going to do a lot more. And again, if you didn't quite get to the end of your list, that's totally fine. You can just pause this video and move forward. Right? But we are going to move along. So now I want you to look back at both of your lists. So your I am list and your I have list. And I want you to select one identity you feel really connected to and that you'd be able and willing to share with the class. And just think about, what does this identity mean to you? Why does it stand out among the rest as something that you feel really connected to, something that you want to share, something that you would dive into, and maybe something that people aren't very familiar with, or maybe they don't understand what it might mean to someone who is like that. So, for example, like if I were going to talk about what it means to be disabled, I might talk about like, lots of people think about disability as someone who uses a wheelchair or someone who uses a walking cane or a seeing eye dog because they have a um, visible disability. Whereas me, I do not have a visible disability. And so I might go into like, what does this mean for my everyday life? What does it mean to have ADHD? What does it mean to have an autoimmune condition? What does it mean to have a complex health history? And what do all those things mean to me and my life? And how might I describe that to somebody else? So whatever these things mean to you, I want you to take 5 whole minutes to describe and define this identity to someone who is unfamiliar with it. Now, I am not going to pause this video for 5 minutes. So if you want to set a timer either on your watch or your phone or anything else to just take a second and free write. Again, nobody is going to ever see this writing. So feel free to write however you want, whatever language you want, if it's bullet points that make most sense to you, if you're typing or using pen and paper, whatever feels most appropriate to you. I just want you to write nonstop for 5 minutes, thinking about this identity and what it means to you. Okay, go. All right. I hope you had a great time writing for those last 5 minutes and you came up with some really great ideas and something that was really meaningful to you and that you feel like you'd be able to share with the group. So now we're going to jump back and think about our syllabus and thinking about what writing is and what writing can do. So on the syllabus, we kind of talked about what writing is. So writing is a way to figure something out for ourselves. Writing is a way to help us connect to our world. Writing is a way to help us learn who we are and who we will become. Writing is a way for us to use our power to make changes and build a better world. And I want you to think about the writing that you just did about your identity and who you are, both what you spent 5 minutes working on and your I am and I have statements, and think, what can this writing do? Where would it fall in these 4 categories? Would it fall in one category? Would it fall in multiple categories? What power does this type of writing have? So feel free to look over the list. You can pause the video if you would like, just to think about what can this type of writing do? Now, the next thing we're going to do is think about what this type of writing might look like. Where might we see it out in the world? Could it be in a podcast, a TV show, a YouTube video? Could it be a tweet or an opinion article? Is it an academic essay? What types of writing could it look like? Where would you see it in the world? How might we communicate these ideas about who we are and our place in the world? Right, so go ahead and again, just take 1 minute to write down your ideas. All right, thank you so much for taking this time with me. At this point, I want you to go to the discussion board down below, and we're going to talk about who we are and some of the things that we wrote about during our free write time, as well as what we think this writing can do and what it could look like, because we just want to start thinking about who we are, our place in the world, and what writing does and what it can do and what it might look like and how it really fits outside of this small academic context. All right, so thank you so much for taking this time with me, and I look forward to hearing all your ideas soon. Okay.